The Isaiah Factor Uncensored starts right now.
And welcome to the Factor Uncensored. Thank you for joining us tonight. We have a great show planned for you. But many people are talking about the tragedy out of Minnesota this weekend, just mind-blowing. 57-year-old Vance Bolter is facing second-degree murder charges filed in Hennepin County, where he's accused of killing former Minnesota House Speaker Melissa Hortman and her husband, Mark, early Saturday morning at their Brooklyn Park home in Minneapolis. He's also accused of shooting State Senator John Hoffman, also a Democrat, and his wife Yvette in their nearby Chaplin home in a related attack. The Hennepin County Attorney's Office on Monday announced that it intends to file first-degree murder charges against the suspect. Now, joining us here on the Factor Uncensored to talk about this, we have State Representative Jolanda Jones and State Representative Ron Reynolds. Glad to have you all here on the Factor Uncensored. When you see this kind of partisan politics, ugliness that we believe this may be, your thoughts about that, because you shared with us some of the ugliness you get in your email on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, so there are a lot of people who are evil, and my son and I have actually talked about this, like what happens if somebody kills me. You shouldn't have to have that discussion, but it's something that you have to consider. And I mean, the fact that they use law enforcement gear, or he used law enforcement gear to get in the house or near the house, is concerning. And there are people that do not want Democrats in office, and they threaten us.
And let's make it clear, law enforcement investigators say or close friends say they believe he is a Trump supporter.
All you have to do is look at him and listen to him. Yes, he is. He spews Trump rhetoric. And so when I heard about it, the first thing I thought was, dude, they're both state legislators. One is a state rep, one is a state senator. I'm a state rep. And then they were both Democrats. I'm a Democrat. And that was the day of the No Kings protest. And I thought, you know, should I go? But I said, I cannot let that kind of fear stop me. The people want us in office fighting for whatever it is we believe to be true. We should be able to respectfully disagree, and it shouldn't be a death sentence to be a Democrat.
All right. State Representative Reynolds, your thoughts about this, and you also shared some of the ugly messages you get. Do you ever get used to that, or is it jarring every time you get one of these messages on social media or through your email?
It's jarring because in this age, you have to take it very serious. The first time I got one, it was a press conference I did with Congressman Al Green where he called for Trump's impeachment. This was the original impeachment that he called for the first time he was elected. After that press conference, I got in my social media where you should watch your back because you might be, you know, get something you might be dealt with, okay? That was the beginning of, that was the first time that I actually received a death threat. I received several after that. In fact, I don't know if you know this, but Congressman Green received so many, he wore a bulletproof vest. He got law enforcement that still is with him today because these were credible threats. Isaiah, just the same day of the Minnesota attacks, shootings, we received credible threats of death threats from Austin, Texas, from DPS saying that they had credible threats upon our lives. So
it was an evacuation.
It was an evacuation. So make no mistake that our lives are definitely in danger in this political discourse. People are actually shooting people that they disagree with, and we have to take it very seriously. I can tell you that it was definitely targeted, and the fact they found a manifesto, he had 45 Democrat targets, including the Attorney General Keith Ellison, that he wanted to kill. And if law enforcement hadn't apprehended this gentleman, he would have killed more Democrats.
And if they didn't sort of, as luck would have it, come up on him where they were, they wouldn't have even known who it was because he did it under cover of night. But I can tell you, the rhetoric wasn't like this before Trump. Trump has literally given people a license to now say in public what they used to think. And before, people were worried about being politically incorrect. They are now not. And one of my friends sent me something saying, be careful, because Fox News is showing where they're telling people we need to shoot them or we need to scare them so that they quit. They literally want government with no Democrats. And it's not us, you know, trying to kill them or kill them. It is literally ours killing D's, and it is because of Donald Trump.
And Isaiah, I want to add this. people like Jolanda, Representative Jones, and I are very outspoken. We speak truth to power. We call them out. We've called out President Trump, Governor Abbott, Lieutenant Governor Patrick. So we're targets. So they would easily target us because we're on the front line. A lot of people, they don't say much. They're quiet. They're not really as much of a target as we are because we're out front, we're vocal, we're critical, and we don't mind calling it what it is, calling out racism. When you call out racism, they get threatened. And so I can tell you that I'm not surprised that you've received threats because you've been very vocal, one of the most vocal ones.
For a long time.
And a lot of our colleagues are afraid. They don't want to say much because they don't want to be targets.
And I can tell you what, in the
Really
Capitol,
quick, 'cause we gotta wrap it up.
Right, in the Capitol, they can carry guns. So like we are literally sitting ducks in the Capitol because you have a Second Amendment right to carry a gun. And so it is incredibly
carry.
Yeah, it is incredibly scary. But I cannot allow that fear to overwhelm me. It cannot stop me from fighting for what we need to fight about. And we need to fight now against Trump because this country is at a crossroads. And we either stand in the gap or we're going to be rolled over and we're going to be killed.
All right, representatives, we want to thank you guys for joining us here on The Factor Uncensored, and be careful out there.